What political lessons can President Uhuru Kenyatta learn from his political godfather, the former President Daniel Arap Moi? Because without Moi, Uhuru would not have been the President of the Republic of Kenya. Moi paved the way for Uhuru to become the President of the Republic of Kenya. And I know when the history of this country and that of Moi will be written, some of which have already been written, there are chapters which will speak negatively against him. And there are some chapters which will heap praises on him. Just like if you watch TV today, there are so many people who are heaping praises on the former president. At the same time, there are those people who don't have time for him even at death. And since you cannot learn bad things from anybody, you can only take the positive attributes. What positive attributes can President Uhuru Kenyatta learn from the former president Daniel Arap Moi? In my view, he can learn so much or so many lessons. Number one is on appointments. If you look at the way President Uhuru Kenyatta has been making appointments to public office since he took over, it's a shame. Because in most cases, those appointments favors his tribe. During Moi's era, we can take everything away from Moi. But during Moi's era, appointments to government positions basically reflected the face of Kenya. That's not what is happening in Uhuru Kenyatta's government. Take, for example, even after the handshake, and even during these BBI campaigns, the handshake was supposed to bring this country together and address several injustices, what people call injustices. And one of them was the skewed appointments to public offices. But if you take appointments which Uhuru Kenyatta normally makes, even the last two appointments, if you check those appointments, it's either Kikuyu, Luo, Kalenjin, maybe a lawyer, or Kikuyu, Masai, Kikuyu, then some Somali guys, like that. There's no face of Kenya in Uhuru Kenyatta's appointments. And Uhuru can learn a lot from Moi. Because of that, Moi was able to rule the country peacefully. For example, someone was asking me the other day, what was Ouko doing in Kanu when Luos were not in Kanu? What was Ouko doing there? Because he was appointed by Moi and Moi trusted him. And later on, he suffered, but the fact that he was senior government official, a senior cabinet minister during Moi regime from a region which was perceived to be anti-Moi. What of Kamoto? And if you look at even the appointments, there's certain key dockets in this country. Since Kibaki took over, they've never been held by anybody outside the Kikuyu. So Uhuru can learn a lot from that. The second thing Uhuru Kenyatta can learn from Moi is the sovereignty of this country. We can't talk of Kenya being a sovereign state when Migingo, the fishermen in Migingo, are always harassed every single day by police from Uganda. We can't talk of sovereignty. We can't talk of sovereignty when along the borders between Kenya and Somalia, those guys can just come across the border and do whatever they want at any given time, even force people to pray. We can't be in a country where Ethiopia border, Kenya and Ethiopia border, Ethiopians normally are able to cross the border and do whatever they want on Kenyan side. But Kenyans cannot cross the border. During Moi era, those nonsense could not be allowed and tolerated. So I think, as a honor to the former president, who is the mentor to Uhuru Kenyatta, Uhuru must start acting swiftly and save our sovereignty as a country. We can't talk of Kenya being a sovereign state when we can't deal with the simple things like Migingo, simple things like the border here between Kenya and Ethiopia, the Somali-Kenya border here. Number 3 is mentorship. How many people has Uhuru Kenyatta mentored since he became the president of the Republic of Kenya? How many? During Moi era, there were people whom he mentored politically. People he just picked from nowhere and mentored them in politics. That's all about leadership. Today, Moi is proud because in Moi, there is Mudavadi. Remember, Mudavadi's father used to be the, what do we used to call them? The supervisors of schools. And Moi was a head teacher. And he talked Moi to go and join politics. And when Moi joined politics, Moi brought him to politics and even appointed him a cabinet minister. And after his death, Moi picked Musalia Mudavadi. Mudavadi today is a possible presidential candidate. Talk of William Samoei Ruto through the Youth for Kanu. Ruto today sits at the center of power. He can be a president of the Republic of Kenya anytime. Talk of even people like Cyrus Jirongo. Several people who are mentored by Moi. Who has Uhuru Kenyatta mentored? I'm trying to figure out. Maybe there are some, but still, maybe Sakaja, yes. Maybe someone else. But he needs to mentor people, politically speaking. And that's now the biggest problem we have in this country. Key political players in this country are not mentoring future leaders, which Moi did so well. Number 4, Uhuru Kenyatta can also learn from former presidents on legacy projects. Uhuru can be associated today with the SGR. But is it on the positive side? Or will Kenyans remember Uhuru as a guy who overburdened Kenyans with SGR, which a huge percentage of it went into people's pocket and burdened majority of Kenyans? Or will he be remembered as someone who held a handshake with Raila Odinga and brought peace? If you talk of Moi today, especially those who grew up during Moi era and went to school during Moi era, Maziwa ya Nyayo is something they still remember Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi with. Those people who grew those times will remember the Nyayo bus. In fact, I still see some schools with those buses. What about schools? What about the Nyayo T-zones? As much as there were corruption, there were so many things else going in this country at that time, especially after 1982 until the time of multipartyism. Moi still had some things, had things which he could be remembered with. And we can still remember him for those, with those. Uhuru Kenyatta must work extra hard to ensure that he also identifies some legacies which the moment he will retire from office, because he's young, anytime he will retire, assuming in 2022, then Kenyans will remember him with those legacy projects. Number 5, which I think is also important, is that President Uhuru Kenyatta can also learn to be decisive. What I mean is simple. Today, in the political circles, William Samoei Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta are not in terms. But Uhuru has not come out very clearly to inform his deputy that he's not going to support him for the presidency. He's just been mentioning. When George Saitoti was the vice president of Moi, and Saitoti was a serious presidential contender, Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi once told him to his face that siasa kuno rafiki. You can't be the president of the Republic of Kenya. And he stood Uhuru Kenyatta, who was amongst them during a meeting, a public meeting, and told Kenyans that yeye atasupport yu kijana. And he failed with that kijana wake. That's what is called leadership. So Uhuru Kenyatta must start learning that. When Kenyans were fighting for multipartyism, and the pressure was just too much. And Kanu, Kanu also had the diehards, the hawks, the Kanu hawks, who could not allow President Moi to agree to reforms. Moi just told them, I'm going to allow those changes. That's being decisive. When the time for Moi to retire came, remember, after the reforms, then Moi contested in 1990, was it 1992? And again 1997. Then Moi felt 2 terms was enough for him. He retired. So many people would not have wanted Moi to retire. They would have rather Moi was defeated in 2002 rather than Moi retiring. But Moi decided to retire. That's being decisive. Number 5 is retirement. When the times for Uhuru Kenyatta to retire will come, in my view, he must agree to retire. He must not listen to people who are saying that he's young. Because as much as he's young, so many people are being born today. And if he felt he was young for the presidency, then he ought to have waited and contested at 70 or at 60. And because the constitution is very clear that he must have 2 terms, then at the end of the 2 terms, let him go home. He can lead this country from the backyard, from the background. He can engineer reforms. Like if he feels that we need to expand the executive for prosperity of the country, he can do that. But he cannot do that because he wants to extend the presidency or his grip on power. I think that's the right thing for him to do. And lastly, President Uhuru Kenyatta should also learn from Moi that power is fluid. You have it today, tomorrow you don't have it. Moi was the president of the Republic of Kenya for how many years? 24 years. He was the vice president of the Republic of Kenya for how many years? 12 years. If you combine those years, those are close to 36. Those are basically 36 years in power. Vice president and the president. And luckily for Moi, he was leading a good life, eating healthy, exercising, and because he was ever active. You see, Moi was the only president we could see every weekend. Every week, Moi was traversing the country. Yeah, we could see Moi traversing the country. And after his retirement, Moi still lived life. And he retired, lived, and died at over 100 years. Even if we were to extend Moi's life with several more years, power had gone. He no longer had the power. People who used to depend on him, some of them are currently talking bad about him. So that's life. Power is very fluid. So therefore, Uhuru Kenyatta must do everything possible within his means to ensure that anytime, as long as he's still in power, he must do things which Kenyans will remember him with, and that some of those things must change the lives of Kenyans. That's the only way Kenyans will remember him. In my view, I think those are the lessons Uhuru Kenyatta can learn from the former president, Daniel Arap Moi. And there are several others. Like, for example, this idea of just sitting in Nairobi. Uhuru should traverse this country to see for himself the roads, the problems people are facing. He should go to Ndewa, for example. I don't know whether he's been there. He should go for deep places like deep in Malindi there. He should go there. He should go somewhere deep in Rift Valley so that he can have a feeling the way Moi used to do. Moi was being felt as the president of the Republic of Kenya. Every single week, Moi was being felt. I don't know what you think, but in my view, those are some of the lessons President Uhuru Kenyatta can learn from the former president Daniel Arap Moi. And if you're bumping on this video for the first time, I want you to just take a second or two and hit the subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, you get notified. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support. Because without that support, this channel will not be where it is today. And the only request I always make on this channel is one: help me create interactions. You can only do that by either giving the video thumbs up or thumbs down. So that if the thumbs up are up, I know the video is well, it's fine. If it's thumb downs are many, I know there's something wrong. So it can help me improve. But the best one is always to leave your comment on any video I create. Thank you guys, and may you have a good day.